My name is Margaret Moore.
I'm Paul Simmons.
I'm Elvis.
Abigail.
Natalie.
It's Kira.
It's Fiona.
It's Lorena Montanaro. And
Hi guys. Hello. There's been a lot of modern learning going on in our school, and the first event that went on was organized by Jordan to raise awareness of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals brought forth by the United Nations. In this event, there was a speaker, Shannon O'Shea, who was from UNICEF that came to speak about these goals, and we had students from across the board in a variety of different schools. Over a few hundred students come to our school and come together to learn about this topic and raise awareness about these goals.
Our ESL students from the school also were involved in SDG project. They paired up with grade 11 visual arts class, and they worked on paintings that were about sustainable development goals.
Alongside the Sustainable Development Goals project, there's been another project going on called the Active Citizenship project. Students in civics classes have been working on these projects, and it's kind of a different project than the students are normally used to, where students are taking their learning outside of the classroom and more into the community to raise awareness about an issue that's of importance to them.
And now we're making a video that's going to
showcase our learning and what's been going on in our school.
My main goal for hosting the SDGs training at Pierre Trudeau High School in late March was to raise awareness so that when students take action, they can channel their efforts with the guideline of the SDGs framework so that these goals can be achieved. And one other thing would be because I believe that everyone can bring about positive change in the world, and it's about local actions from even students in our community that can have positive impact on the global stage.
The question of modern learning has been raised, and certainly what our students are doing with modern learning and how that in turn impacts themselves and the greater community. I've been asked to share my opinion. In short, I think it's wonderful, and I think all educators would agree, all parents, all students would agree, the opportunity to interact with one another, to share stories, and to develop a greater sense of global awareness is a component of modern learning that is absolutely integral to the growth and development of young minds, souls, and hearts. We have people looking at sustainable goals, the different directives put down by the UN. We have our ELL kids engage with other students across the board in an effort to raise awareness about different things and offer solutions and suggestions as to how best remedy these concerns.
My ESL students, they were working on the SDGs. They're trying to understand the 17 goals which were set by the United Nations. And they picked certain ones, not all of them were interesting to the students. And then we asked them, well, how would you advertise for those? And the student made sketches. And these sketches were, well, they were interesting, they had good ideas, but artistically they were deficient. And so we connected with an art class. And so the students then talked together, and it was amazing what the outcome is now. We have really artwork showing the SDGs.
So the project kind of came about in a little bit of a backwards way. Our involvement was a little bit later on. I think that it was a great benefit to the art students. I think they had a lot of pressure to create a painting within 1 week's time, but where it's unfolding right now, students seem to be a little bit on the bashful side, but a little bit excited about where it's going now. So how do I feel that this benefits the students as far as their learning is concerned? It's much different to be sort of isolated in a classroom. You're given a project, in our case, asked to do a painting based on art history or something along those lines, and seeing the historical connections and working with, I guess, their own interpretations and their own voice. This project was a lot different because they had to consider somebody else's voice and how to interpret that, and then still get their own style and their own message across, and the timeline. That's hands down, I think, what the biggest exciting part that the students felt was that pressure. When there's just an arbitrary date set, people tend to get it done in time, but if you're just told, okay, well, it's due on Monday, then there's not that real understanding of why. However, when we have a conference that we have to take these paintings to And they know that they're going to be letting down not only the students that they were partnered up with in another class, but then they're going to be letting an entire conference down, and people who are coming to listen to presentations and then see their artwork and it's not there or it's not completed. I think that really changes their perspective on why they're doing this. There's something in the end, there's a goal, and it's a real world goal.
Paintings that were made by our students were showed on an ESL conference that discussed SDG goals. Many people came from different schools to the conference to raise awareness about SDG.
In the SDG conference, over 7 schools are involved in this conference, and this conference goal is to help improve the students' understanding for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. By the end of the conference, we also talked about how to take action and how to be more involved in the community in order to solve these goals.
Well, the project we were working on was Sustainable Development Goals for English language learners. And I think it's a very important project because it's about the future of our lives on this earth. I think there are different definitions of modern learning. For us here, it is experiential learning, real-world learning, and not just limited to the classroom, but limited or to the community, but it can also reach out internationally and globally, and that's what we are aspiring. It's very authentic, so it's not just learning from the book, but it's learning from their own lives. So one afternoon after school, we went to the Immigrant Youth Center, and they looked at the location where the event was going to happen, and then learned they had to think about and what had to be considered to make this event a successful event. It was really interesting to compare our students to the students who were invited from other schools.
Students that have been working on these modern learning projects in school showcase their learning in a parent council meeting. Students that were working on the Active Citizenship project. There were 3 students that did a book drive in our school to gather books for a region of charity. There were also students that painted for the Sustainable Development Goals project, and their paintings were showcased also. And we had overall, we had a very positive response from the parents.
In our civics class, we had an active citizen project that we had to complete. And so basically we had to choose an issue that we were really passionate about, that we wanted to make like a change in.
Our goal was to collect books and donations for children living in low-income families or living in poverty. The big challenge we had with this project was that how could we raise awareness about our issue and actually get people engaged and involved in our project. We sent letters to teachers and encouraged them to bring children's books for our book drive.
So because we had more experience now after we done a book drive, we learned a lot of things through it, like how to maybe overcome challenges of getting awareness, or maybe just planning-wise, or maybe improvements that we could do, like, for example.
This experience was different because I could take what I learned in civics class and about active citizenship and actually apply it to real life instead of just sitting down in the classroom. I was actually able to go out and to actually help children.
I think this kind of modern learning is great because it helps students build a toolbox of skills that they can use not just in my class or in their history classes, but in the larger world. People picked so many different ways of getting involved in their community and building ties between our school and the larger world. I was really proud of the work they did. This project was a little bit different than what students are typically used to doing. As teachers, we found we had to provide some support, but there was time to do that in our classroom. So for example, students that wanted to do some kind of school-based fundraiser had to go down to the office and talk to the vice principal to book that time into our school. So some students faced challenges doing those things that they weren't comfortable with, but as a teacher I was able to work with them and help make sure that they were able to be successful in the end.
At the end of the day, modern learning, in my mind, is not simply about technology, although technology is certainly a component of modern learning. It is about understanding that different people think differently in different ways.